going to hand over to Aoibhinn Murray, who will wave her wand and work her magic and teach us a little bit more. And if there are any questions from anybody, I do encourage you to use our elevatedplanet.life platform. There is an area there for contact to drop questions to us, because whoever the questions are for, we can then come back to you retrospectively and make sure that any questions and inquiries you have are suitably responded to. So anyway, Aoibhinn, without further ado, I'm going to hand over to you. I'm going to disappear off the screen, and I'm going to just basically leave you to work your magic.
Thank you very much. So, hi everybody. As John said, my name is Aoibhinn. My name is Aoibhinn Murray, and I'm a holistic therapist. My background is in shamanism, mediumship, teaching, and energy work, and I'm an energy healer. So what I was going to do today is give you a very basic rundown of the aura. And coincidentally, if you believe in coincidence, but I don't, because I know everything's connected, as I'm sure you do yourself, I didn't know that Jole was going to cover the chakras, and she didn't know that I was going to cover the basics of the aura until we came on here a little while ago. So synchronicity and divine forces have kind of lined everything up beautifully for us. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is I need to share my screen. So give me a second and we'll see where we go. Share. And I am hoping that you can all see that. If you can't see that, please.
You got it, Aoibhinn. I'll go back on mute again now, but yeah, I can see that.
Great. Okay, that's perfect. Thanks, John. All right, I'm going to put it onto presentation mode if I can get that to work. So we're going to start with life force energy to give you a bit of context with regard to this. So what is life force energy? Well, we are surrounded by life force energy. You wouldn't exist without life force energy. It's what animates you. Life force energy is also called chi, ki, and prana. It's called chi in China, it's called prana in India, and it's called ki in Japan. So that modality of Reiki is actually two separate words, Rei and Ki. And together it means universal life force energy. So this is the animating power of the universe and all that's within it. And it surrounds us, it permeates us, it sustains us, and it connects us with all things. It has its own intelligence and its own consciousness, but it can be built up and it can be directed, for example, for healing purposes. So when we do healing, we connect to that prana or that life force energy. We bring it through the individual, we bring it through the healer, and the healer brings it down through their heart and into their hands. We have two portals. Well, we have lots of portals in our hands. We have two chakras, one in each palm, and we have little chakras on our fingers as well. So when we direct that life force energy with the intention of healing, that is what carries out the beginning of the healing situation, if you like, that's going to take place. So just on that, never point your finger at somebody in anger, because your finger is like a little wand. So when you're pointing your finger in anger at somebody and wagging your finger like that, you are literally directing anger towards them. You're throwing anger out of your finger. And that person is then, if they don't know how to actually contain their biofield or their auric field, they can absorb that, and it can really affect how they feel for the rest of the day or for several days after, or whatever it might be. So, I mean, if I had my way, I would be teaching this stuff to 3- and 4-year-olds in school, because it is vital, and it's been suppressed for a long time, and here we are bringing it out to the world. So how energy works is we use our intent. Humanity, our species on this planet, is extremely powerful, and we have been dumbed down through the food we eat, the water we drink, the media that we consume. And if there's one thing you take away from here today, get rid of the television. Okay, so we consume a lot of stuff believing or thinking that it's good for us, and not actually understanding that we're being affected by other people, their intent, and what they manifest towards us. But we have that ability as well. So humanity, during this awakening that humanity is going through at the moment, and through this, what we call the ascension process, we are remembering, we're awakening to this information. We're awakening to our own innate power that has been suppressed for a very long time. So energy follows intent. Another little phrase there is the issues are in your tissues. So we'll see with energy healing in a moment that when things aren't addressed at the vibrational level, like at the energetic and frequency level, they then become denser and can become a niggle, say a little pain in the knee or a little pain in the head. And that can manifest over time into something more serious. And of course, there are other contributing factors to that as well. But you know, energy is very malleable and can be directed for good or for nefarious reasons. So and with the issues in the tissues, you know, we can use energy to address that. We can address it at the manifested illness or disease level, and for removing pain, and we can address it at the very, very subtle levels within the energetic subtle bodies of the auric field as well. So when healing energy is focused on the human body via the aura, it raises the frequency of that person, and this improves the health, allowing one's highest nature to begin unfolding. So those of you who see this and who already work with energy, those of you who are healers, you probably find that quite a few of your clients, when you start working with them, they begin to go, it's like a catalyst. The energy that they receive in the first session is built upon then in the second session, and they start clearing some of their stuff. And what I have found is a lot of my clients have gone on to become healers or practitioners in the holistic field themselves. So it can be a catalyst for you getting onto the correct trajectory, the correct kind of mission or life purpose that you incarnated and you chose to have in this incarnation. So it's very, very helpful in that respect. So if I can move my doodah on, here we are. So what is the aura? The aura is also called the biofield or the electromagnetic field, and is the energy field surrounding the body and interacting on the spiritual and psychological levels through structures called chakras, as Jole, went through a few moments ago, quite beautifully so. It protects us from the physical, emotional, and psychic energies of the environment by screening harmful energies. But it is actually information that vibrates. So we're receiving information in and we're emitting information out all of the time through our chakras and through our aura. Your auric field holds all of your information. It holds all of your history. So it can also hold a lot of your past life issues. So if you have come into this life with a particular illness or a disease or a scarring or a birthmark, that can be a hangover from a previous life. And that might be still being held in the auric field. And the beautiful thing about energy work and healing work is that can be cleared. The imprint of that can be cleared from the auric field, allowing a lot more health in or ease of whatever the situation is. But maintenance, tune-ups and check-ins really, really are important. Just as Jole was talking about clearing and finely tuning your chakras, we have to do that with our auric field. It's an amazing, amazing tool that we have, and we don't utilize it enough. And a lot of people don't understand the the potential of their auric field and the power of their auric field. So I'm on a mission to get that out. Just like everybody else here in Elevated Planet, it's all about empowerment, education, knowledge, experience, and empowerment. So when we do these tune-ups, we can then run at a full capacity. We can run our auric field at full capacity, and we become very highly attuned to our own nature through that, and to our own energy. In the world of mediumship, there's a practice that we do usually on a daily basis, and it's called sitting in the power. And this is where we bring our own energy out through us and around us. So we learn what our own energy feels like. And we do this firstly to empower ourselves, to energize ourselves. So we're not taking the energy of somebody else in order to carry out our practice. So we plug in and we energize ourselves. But what it also does, it actually allows you to learn what your own energy field feels like. So if somebody else comes into that field, or something else comes into that field, you're able to detect it quite easily and quite fast. You're also able to know when a thought is your thought, or if it's an intrusive thought from somewhere else. So the more you work with your energies, the more finely attuned you become to who you actually are yourself, and what you are, and what your capabilities are as well. So here's a lovely picture that looks like it's been drawn by a 5-year-old, but we'll just put that idea to the side for the moment. I just wanted to give you an idea of what the layers around the aura can look like. Now, they all interweave with one another. It's not that there's a firm line and that's the mental body, and there's a firm line and that's the emotional body, and they're all interconnected. But this just gives you an idea. So your auric field can extend out several feet, or you can pull it in, as Jole said as well earlier. You can extend it out. You'll often find with people who have a big personality, or people who have a lot of presence, their auric field is very strong. So they walk into a room and you don't even have to turn around. You can feel them in the room. If you go into an environment that you feel a bit threatened by, or you feel uncomfortable in, you can go in. For example, I used to dance Argentine tango. And so I would often go into the milongas or the tango socials on my own. And what I would do is I would set my boundary around myself, but then I would push myself out. I'd push my energy out a bit to make myself feel taller and stronger. And what that does is it actually attracts people to you. So if your aura is pulled in so tight, so tight, and you find this often with people who are very shy, you won't even be seen. You'll be like the wallflower in the corner. Now, you can have it as Jole said earlier on, you can pull your aura into a comfortable level. What I'm talking about is when somebody is so constricted within themselves that their aura is so tight around them that you don't even notice them. And these people you won't remember. Somebody who has expanded their aura out is somebody who is really in their power. Now, depending on what the situation is, you know. So you'll remember those people because they're confident and they're self-assured, and you're drawn towards them, you know, because you like the energy that they emit. Okay, so coming back to our little diagram here, the closest subtle body, these are often called subtle bodies. So you'll hear this jargon being spoken in the spiritual community. So we have the etheric body, and I'm just going to briefly go through these. The etheric body, which is like the template for your physical body. So we do a lot of work in and around the etheric body when we're working on physical issues, but we're also working on the mental body, the emotional body as well, because we can hold a lot of issues in those subtle bodies too. So next one up, we have our emotional body, then our mental body, our astral body, our etheric template, and our celestial. And all of these subtle energetic bodies are all connected to the chakras as well. They correlate with the chakras too. So it's quite a thing, actually, to know that you're holding all of your information in and around you. So if you go for a tarot card reading or a psychic reading, what the practitioner is doing, or what the reader is actually doing, is reading information that you're holding in your auric field a lot of the time. So it's different to mediumship. So when we're doing mediumship, we connect up to spirit. When we're doing intuitive work, we're connecting to the person's energetic field, and we're staying there. We're not going up to connect with spirit and bring loved ones in. So it's a slightly different thing. Okay, so that just gives you a bit of a visual about the aura. If I was teaching this as I would normally in my course, I would spend about maybe 1 or 2 classes purely on the auric field, because there's a lot of depth that we can go into. There are various different colors that correspond with the auric field layers as well. Again, these correlate to the chakras. But to give you an idea of some of the colors, now we have here a photograph, and it's called Kirlian photography. Kirlian photography was created back in the 70s by a Russian scientist. And he came up with Kirlian photography, which can photograph your auric field, the energy around you. And it's absolutely beautiful. We have these 3 women here, and we can see quite clearly their auric field. So I'm just going to explain to you what might be going on with these people. So with blue, with the color blue that we see around this lady, and with the color pink, with the color blue, when we see a lot of blue in the auric field. Now, when I say see, we can see objectively, or we can see subjectively. And what seeing something objectively means is you actually see it manifested in the room with you. And it's actually very rare. People will often do this accidentally. They'll see an apparition. Okay, so that's what an objective, seeing something objectively, means. And seeing something subjectively means seeing it through your third eye. So you're seeing the auric field, you're seeing the colors with your third eye. And this is one of the reasons why we need to learn to trust ourselves. One of the core areas of teaching in any area of spiritual practice is trusting your own inner temperature gauge, your own barometer. So you know that the information is coming from your essential self, from your higher self, from your true self, rather than from your imagination. Every person goes through that whole thing of, oh, I think it's just my imagination, you know, and they question it, and that's part of the learning process. But then you get to a stage where you actually do trust what you see and what you perceive, because it's been validated so many times, and you get to a point where it just becomes automatic then. So we see with this woman here, she has a lot of blue. So I can tell you from that, when you see a lot of blue, the person is spiritual. They are usually a healer. We see a lot of blue in and around healers. They're very, very sensitive people as well. And they're quite loyal. Okay, so this woman, I would say she's either a medium or a healer. In fact, she's a healer. Absolutely, she's a healer because she's got so much blue there. But she also has pink, okay? And what we see with people who have pink in their... Oh, I need to go back. I've just clicked. Hang on, going the wrong way. Bear with me a second. This is the beauty of modern technology. In my hands, anyway. Right, so we have quite a bit of pink here with this lady as well. Now, pink and green, these are the 2 dominant colors of the heart chakra. So when I see pink in somebody's aura, I know that they are a sincere person. And I know that they have quite good self-love as well, which is really important. That's the foundation for everything, you know, that we manifest with beauty in the world. I also can see 3 orbs going through her energetic field. And I hope you can see those as well. So I would say this woman has mediumistic abilities because she has drawn so many spirits to her. Now, when you see an orb here, like we have 3 beautiful white orbs. White orbs can denote your spirit guides close to you. It can be deceased loved ones, somebody in spirit wanting to come close to you. It can be an off-worlder, so it can be an energy, a person, an entity from a different realm or a different place in our solar system who may be coming in to work with you, who may be one of your spirit, your cosmic guides, rather than pure spirit guides. And because these orbs are white, I know that they're quite positive in nature. You do get black orbs, believe it or not. You can get black orbs. I've seen black orbs. And, you know, it's very much, you know, black is for badness and white is for goodness, because those orbs usually are very nefarious and have nefarious intent. So I would say this woman is both a healer and a medium, or she's a healer with very strong mediumistic abilities. The lady in the middle, she has quite a bit of yellow around her, which would denote intellect. You'll see quite a bit of yellow around people when they are teaching. You'll often see it around the head of a teacher when they're actually in full flow. And we have blue, a light blue around the top of her head as well, and a bit of a darker blue underneath. Again, we have the healing coming through with her. But if you can see, she has quite a dark, very dark navy blue, nearly kind of bordering on kind of black. Now, this can denote moodiness or low moods, you know, propensity for low moods. When we see vibrant colors in the aura, it means that that aspect is healthy. So we're seeing that bright blue with the lady on the left and bright pink. So she has a beautiful balance there with her own, with self-love, with compassion, and with wanting to assist others. The woman in the middle, she has a lot of that as well, but she has a darker, it's like when you see a dirty color, it usually means that particular aspect is unhealthy and it needs clearing. Or it needs some healing, or it needs the imprint of something is still there, which can be healed and moved out of the aura. She also has a bit of red down there and some green. Green would also denote compassion and a lot of connection with the heart. Often somebody with a lot of green is quite social as well. And we see that red, and the red is connected to the base chakra or the root chakra. And this denotes passion and more kind of earthly stuff. It can, when it's out of sync or when it's out of balance, it can denote anger, particularly if there's a lot of red in the aura. And if it's like a dirty red, then this can be the sign that somebody has a lot of aggression or a lot of anger. And if this person projects themselves ordinarily as being very passive and very together and doesn't anger fast, then what we're seeing here is suppressed anger. And we want that healed, because that can manifest into a lot of different types of disease. And our woman on the right, we see a lot of pink and a lot of green, and we also see white with her. So she has a lot of compassion, self-love, love for others. She's social as well, but she has a good balance. The white is showing us that she is very tuned into spirit, but she's balanced with it all. Okay, so that's just a little kind of indicator. I'm not going to go through what each of the colors means in this session because it would just take too long. This is just a brief overview of the aura. So a healthy energy system, when we have a healthy energetic field and chakra system, we feel balanced, energy flows, we manifest abundance, we're responsive to emotions, thoughts, events, and people. So we don't react. You'll see on things like social media, you'll see on things like Facebook and Instagram. Well, I'm not that familiar with Instagram, but I came online onto Facebook 3 years ago, and I was shocked by how people spill their traumas out so easily and so readily to other people, and how fast they react to things instead of sitting back, allowing it to sit and then responding. So we see this a lot in the world where people have, you know, a knee-jerk reaction to situations that they're in or to things that somebody may have said to them. When we have a balanced energetic field, we don't act like that. We don't, because we are so empowered, first of all, that things that other people say or do, it just doesn't come into our field. So we don't get triggered. And we're usually working on ourselves anyway. So we know that whatever if we are being triggered by something, it's really a reflection of something that's going on within ourselves, that needs a wound that needs to be healed. And we don't project that then out to another person. We kind of realize, okay, I need to maybe look at that myself. Why am I feeling so triggered? Okay, so it is a protective shield. Your aura is a protective shield, and it allows in what needs to come in, and it keeps out. When it's reinforced and when it's strong and when it's healthy, it'll keep out the negative energies of others, the negative energy. So somebody is maybe verbally attacking you, or there's some sort of argument going on. What is coming from them? So if they're not contained and they're not emotionally mature, and they're firing insults and becoming very childlike in their reactions, you can reinforce your auric field in that moment, and that will not come in. You won't absorb it. But most people don't know how to do it. Just like nearly 99.9% of everything in the spiritual field, it's simple. These things are not rocket science. These techniques that I'm going to show you are not rocket science. And they're easy to do, and they work. Okay, so protective shield. Unhealthy energy system, illness, the big one. Okay, so illness or disease is the final manifestation of vibrational disarray in either the auric field and or the chakras, corresponding chakras as well. So when these aren't addressed at the subtle field level, they become bigger, because your body wants you to know that there's an issue here, and your whole being wants you to know that there's an issue here, so you can heal it. It's not a punishment. It's a gift. When we have pain, it's actually a gift. It's telling us, hang on a second, your barometer is kind of going from side to side here. There's something out of whack. There's something that I need to look at. So we're able to address it then, if we don't ignore it, of course. So thoughts and feelings affect energy system over time. It can manifest in the body, diminishing function and or creating illness, as I've just said there. Your thoughts are incredibly powerful. If you look around you just now at everything in the room you're sitting in, every single thing started with a thought, and passion and energy got behind that, and then action was taken, and it manifested out into the world. So that's how powerful a human is. But a lot of people are manifesting by default negative stuff because they haven't learned how to work with energy. So a lot of people will say, well, why me? Why does this keep happening to me over and over again? Like, one is like bad relationships. You'll often hear a woman or a man saying, oh, why do I always get this rotten type of partner? And it's because your subconscious is trying to give you information for you to heal. So you keep having the same pattern going over and over again. There's a wound there that needs healed. And you're having these situations because you are creating these situations through what you're emitting out into the world from your conscious mind and conscious thoughts, but also your subconscious. Your subconscious is extremely powerful, much more powerful than your conscious mind. But we do have control over our conscious mind. So we can, when we understand that we have a certain amount of control over what we think, then we can shift our focus. One easy technique is, and this isn't spiritual bypassing, I mean, that's a different thing. If you really start going down a rabbit hole and you really start getting annoyed at something, you might be researching something that you've come across, and you start getting agitated and frustrated, and you can stop and you can shift your focus to something that's going to raise you back up again. This is how people get so caught up with the anger, because they make a choice to get into a lot of this stuff and to stay with it and not to balance it, we have to balance. For those of us who are in either truther communities or in spiritual communities, we have to balance the light with the dark. Okay. So a lot of the time you'll see people, spiritual practitioners, who are just all about the light all the time, and they won't even entertain the idea of the shadow aspects. Well, that's out of balance. Just like somebody who's constantly complaining and pouring their misery out into the world, energetically speaking and verbally speaking, they are creating more of that around themselves, but they're not balanced. So we need to have a balance between the two. Okay. So good auric boundaries create a happy, self-contained person. Less good auric boundaries can pollute and compromise our inner and therefore our outer world. However, it's very easy to heal the aura and set it to a boundary that's healthy. Where this happens, psychological boundaries will follow. So I have said to students over the years that people have come and said, I have this particular issue and I have to deal with this particular person, or this person is overstepping my boundaries constantly, and I'm going to have to sit down and have this conversation, and I don't know how to do it, and all of that stuff. When you work at it from an energetic level, it takes away a lot of that. You can work on these issues, right? Because remember, whatever's happening to you in the outside world is a reflection of stuff that's in you. Okay, so it's just mirroring something that's in you that needs to be addressed and healed. So you can see it as a lesson on boundaries. So the universe or spirit is helping you to learn how to be more empowered. When you start working with the chakras and the auric field, so if somebody is constantly in fear, can't make a decision for love nor more money, and blames the rest of the world for all of their problems, they really need to be working on their lower chakras. You'll actually find this with quite a few spiritual practitioners, healers and mediums and readers, that they're, when you're working on them, their upper chakras are very empowered and their lower ones that are all connected to the earth are all out of whack, and that can be because they don't have good auric hygiene, a good energetic and astral hygiene, and they are absorbing and allowing other people's emotional stuff to come in, and they hold it often in their sacral chakra. But when you start working with the lower chakras, and particularly with the root, if it's all to do with fear, then you can help dissipate that stress from the fear. You're fearful that this person is going to overstep your boundary again, and how am I going to manage it? Poor me, or poor little me, how am I going to manage it? You can start strengthening those lower chakras. You can start strengthening and clearing them out on a daily basis. And there are tons and tons and tons of techniques online, and on YouTube you can easily find chakra balancing meditations, or you can find ones specifically for the root or the sacral or the solar plexus. And you really need to strengthen that solar plexus as well, because that is where your will resides and your self-empowerment is in this chakra. So you are very wise to work with particularly the root and the solar plexus if you're trying to empower yourself. And what will happen over time is, once you start strengthening these energetically and you start shielding your auric field as well, that affects the energy of other people. So you may find that those situations that you had with that person begin to diminish, because they are picking up those very subtle energy signals from you that I am boundaried, and I am strong, and I will not tolerate this. So they're not even going to go there with you. Practice these things and see them in practice for yourself and how they actually work. You can visualize a bubble of white light coming out of your solar plexus and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and literally moving the person away. And if you do this 2 or 3 times and practice it, you'll actually notice people physically taking a step back. It's amazing. I used to work in the corporate field and public service as well. And so some of the meetings were quite fraught. And this was a really good way. When I was in a situation where it was getting quite heated, I would literally boundary myself and bring out the bubble of white light and push the person away. And then I would ask my team, my spirit team and my higher self to close down the conversation. And it would close down within a couple of minutes. So, okay, so that's the psychological boundaries will follow the energy. So where energy goes, you know, the rest will follow. So I want to talk to you about auric wounds just very, very briefly. I'm just going to check the time. Okay. So when we have wounds in the aura, and a lot of people, unless they're working with energy, they won't be familiar with this, or if they can't perceive energy, see energy, feel energy, they may not see these things or feel these things. But a lot of us are walking around with a lot of dirty washing in our auric field. And just like you'd dirty your clothes and you take them off and put them in the washing machine, we need to do that for our aura as well, because when we don't, our energy leaks out, other things can get in, and we can become negatively minded or depressed. There are various different things. And then, of course, the final manifestation of a lot of this stuff will be physical illness in a lot of ways, or mental health issues. So dark spots, and I'm going to get you to do an exercise with me in a moment where you're going to go inside your aura and you're going to have a look for these things. So when you go to a healer, they may see dark spots, rips, or tears in the aura. And a tear can occur in the aura simply from even an operation, from the anesthetic of an operation, can create a tear in the aura. What happens then is your energy leaks out and you're not able to heal sufficiently. So you may end up having a particular operation, but you still have ongoing issues, you know, afterwards. It's not difficult to seal up a rip, and I'm going to explain to you in a moment how to do it. Overconsumption of drugs or alcohol affects the auric field as well, and really does impact it, and what's the word? Takes a lot of the charge out of it. Abusive environments and violence will affect your auric field severely. And dark spots can create distance between the individual and the present moment. So you may, if the, what I mean there is, your perception can be off. Okay, so you may decide that a certain person has a certain perception or a certain opinion of you, and it can be completely just assumed rather than true and real. So when we have a lot of gunk in our auric field, we're not able to discern as well as we can. And removing and clearing this stuff out really enables you to feel your barometer and really what's coming at you. And it really helps you to discern what's truth, what's a lie, or what's truth but is believed to, or what's a lie or what's not truth, but it's believed to be truth. Okay, so if you're the type of person that you watch mainstream media and mainstream news, you need to be able to discern, because we've seen over the last 3 years how easily people can be manipulated and their point of view can be controlled. Mass mind control, in my opinion. We also get holes in the auric field as well, and they're like white holes. That's the way I perceive them. And what often happens to create this is somebody will become traumatized by something, and part of their spirit, which is the aspect of the soul that comes into the body, the part of the soul that can come into the body, because you couldn't house your whole soul, you'd explode. It's a massive stream of consciousness. So we have a small part of it in and around the body. And we can abandon ourselves during times of trauma. That can even happen at the age of 5. So what's traumatic to you at 5 is going to be very different to the age of, 30 or 40. You might have fallen off your bike at the age of 5. And that can be very traumatic, or the age of 10 or 15, whatever it might be. So when I see this, this is called bouncing. And this is where the person has bounced in and out so many times. When they feel safe again, that aspect of them will come back into the body. So we may have done that many hundreds of times in our life, and we start to create these holes. Then again, our energy begins to leak out. Our energetic field dissipates to a certain degree. The power of it dissipates to a certain degree, and other things can come in. And I'm talking about astral parasites. I'm talking about archons. I'm talking about anything that can move interdimensionally and manipulate you, you know, attachments, whether they be deceased people or entities from various different realms that really like to get in through the auric field and latch on to a chakra or an organ and take your life force energy and start using you as a battery. Thought forms in the aura as well. So you may have heard of tulpas, and this is a thought form which has become so strengthened over time that it begins to manifest into the environment. So when we have a specific thought that we keep reinforcing over and over and over and over and over again, that thought form then over time manifests in the aura, and it can sit in the aura, taking up energy, vital life force energy. And in fact, it is said, I don't know if it's true because I haven't experienced it, and I always go for my own experiences, but it is said that you can actually push it out of the aura and physically manifest it in the world around you. And I'd love to know more about that, because there's a lot of stuff that I've seen, and I haven't experienced those ones, but I've seen them in the aura. I've seen the thought forms in the aura. So can you imagine if you were thinking something really negative, like, for example, so maybe your mother passed away with cancer, and then your sister passed away with cancer, and then you're constantly thinking, I'm going to get cancer, I'm going to get cancer. Okay, just by the way, I'm just going to cancel that thought because I'm not putting that out into the universe. I'm using it as an example. So that person might be saying that constantly over and over and over again. And you are so, so powerful. You know, once you've harnessed your energy and once you know how to direct your energy, you are so powerful that you can manifest that, not realizing that you manifested it. This is what I was talking about earlier by manifesting things by default. You manifest a lot of negative stuff into your life because you don't know that you're actually at the helm of your life and you're actually creating that. You're responsible for that, but you don't know that you created it. So we need to get the word out to people. Okay, so that's thought forms. And finally, we're going to do a little exercise. So I'm going to come off share screen. Now, like I said, you know, ordinarily, if I was teaching this, I would be doing it over a much longer period of time. So there's a lot more to this. You know, we can get into attachments, the different types of attachments, what they look like, the organs that they can wrap around, how they affect you, and then removing them. But for the purposes of today, we're going to do a little exercise that you can take away, and you can play this recording again, and you can clear your auric field again. So I'd like you to close your eyes and just take 2 or 3 conscious breaths into your body. Okay, now I'd like you to visualize or imagine. If you're the type of person that you find it difficult to visualize, doesn't matter, you're using your intent. So if you can't visualize it, just know or feel or perceive that this is happening around you. So we're going to visualize or perceive that there is a pod-like shape around you or an egg-like shape around your auric field that goes a couple of feet away from your body, with your eyes closed. So now this is you inside your aura. We're going to look at it with the third eye. So we're going to look at it subjectively. Now, this is what makes it happen. Okay. in the 3D world on this planet, it's very, 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 very dense energy. So we have to go down to the shop and buy the orange. Whereas in the etheric realms, in the non-physical realms, we just have to imagine something and it's there, it's manifested. And that's one of the reasons why we're so heavily contained on this planet, because we're like kindergarten kids compared to the rest of the solar system. If we were out there without the knowledge of how to manifest correctly, oh, sure, we'd be causing havoc out in the universe. So we have to be taught and brought along gradually. Okay, so we're going to scan the aura from the head to the feet. So I want you to have the eyes closed and imagine that you're at the top of your head. And I want you to look around your head. I want you to look both sides and front and back. And I want you to see if you can see any dark spots there. And if you can, if there are any dark spots, doesn't matter if you think you've made it up, you're not going to do yourself any harm. If you do see any dark spots, I just want you to imagine them melting away and being absorbed down into the earth to be transmuted back into positive energy again. And when you've done that, I want you to scan your abdomen, front and back, your legs, front and back, your feet, front and back. It only takes a couple of seconds. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn out thing. So wherever you might feel that there are dark spots, or where you can see there are dark spots, and literally intend to use your energy, your own energy, to melt them down into Mama Earth to be transmuted into positive energy again. And now I want you to look for white holes. So scan your aura again from the top down to the feet and see, are there any white holes? And if wherever you find any white holes, fill them up with light. Just fill them up until all the gaps are gone. And now we're going to look for any tears or rips. So again, start at the top of your head. Can you see any rips in the auric field? Now, these are really important to seal up, and they're very easily done because they can get larger and we can lose a lot of energy. Okay, so take a look for any rips or tears and imagine them now sealing up. Sometimes I'll just take my hand and imagine that they're just being glued together. That's it. And they're closing. Trust your intuition. Trust your intuition. You will guide yourself correctly. And now, whenever you feel that the whole process is complete, we're going to seal up your aura. So when you've completed this sealing up of holes and tears, imagine that you are bringing in white light and you are creating a sphere of white light all around your aura, and you're pulling your aura in gently, only until it's about a foot or so, or foot and a half from your body, and you're just sealing that in. And when you've done that, I want you to visualize that there's gold light now pouring around that white light. And that is like a very hard shell. Gold light is a really, really good light to use because it's very difficult to penetrate because it's so high vibrational. Okay, so now open your eyes and welcome back. So I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you very much for bearing with me. I hope it made sense to you. And I'm going to hand you back now to John. Okay?